Today we're focusing on real estate law, which is a crucial area that governs property ownership and transactions. Understanding real estate law helps us navigate the complex rules around buying, selling, and managing property. It covers everything from contracts and zoning regulations to landlord-tenant relationships. Getting a good grasp on these concepts is essential, whether you're a buyer, seller, or involved in property management. This knowledge ensures that all dealings are legal, fair, and protect your rights. Real estate law is essentially the set of rules and regulations that oversee the ownership, use, transfer, and financing of land and buildings. It's a broad area that covers many aspects of property. For example, it includes the buying and selling of property, lease agreements, and title issues that determine who legally owns the property. It also deals with zoning laws that dictate how land can be used, development regulations for building projects, and the relationships between landlords and tenants. Additionally, any disputes related to property rights fall under real estate law. Understanding these key elements helps ensure that property transactions and uses comply with the law and protect everyone's rights. Here, we have an overview of the core practice areas within real estate law. First, residential transactions involve everything related to buying and selling homes, including financing, disclosures, and closing documents. This is crucial because these transactions affect so many individuals in their personal lives. Next, commercial transactions cover the leasing, acquisition, and development of business properties, with a focus on managing risk through well-drafted deals. Then, property rights and disputes address conflicts over boundaries, easements, and title claims, which can be complex and require careful legal navigation. Finally, development and zoning deals with securing permits, complying with land use regulations, and handling subdivision rules to ensure projects meet local requirements. These four areas form the foundation of real estate law practice. When someone makes a purchase, especially in real estate, the process follows a very specific legal sequence. Each step is designed to minimize risk before the ownership is formally transferred and recorded. It all begins with the offer, where the buyer expresses their intent to purchase the property. Next comes the inspection phase, ensuring the property is in acceptable condition and there are no hidden issues. Following that, an appraisal is conducted to determine the fair market value of the property. After that, a title search is performed to confirm there are no legal claims or liens against the property. Then we move to the closing stage, where all the final documents are signed and the transaction is finalized. Lastly, the transfer is officially recorded, making the buyer the legal owner. Understanding this sequence is crucial because it reflects real estate law in action, designed to protect all parties involved in the transaction. When we talk about title and ownership, the title itself serves as proof of ownership. Having clear title means that the property can be transferred without any unresolved claims or competing interests, which is crucial for both buyers and lenders. To safeguard against issues that might not be immediately apparent, title insurance is used. It protects all parties from hidden defects that could arise after closing. Before finalizing a transaction, a title search is conducted. This involves carefully reviewing deeds, liens, and records to confirm a lawful ownership history. All of these elements are grounded in real estate law, ensuring the entire process is legally sound and secure. When we talk about commercial contracts, one of their main purposes is to clearly define who is responsible for the risk before the deal officially closes. This is crucial because it sets the expectations and protections for both parties involved. For the buyer, there are several key protections built into these contracts. These include contingencies for due diligence, which allow the buyer to thoroughly investigate the property and back out if significant issues arise. There is also the review of title and surveys, ensuring that the buyer has a clear understanding of the property boundaries and any potential liens or encumbrances. Representations and warranties are promises made by the seller about the condition and status of the property, providing buyers with a level of assurance. Additionally, financing and approval conditions protect the buyer by making the deal contingent upon securing necessary funding or approvals. There are also default remedies and escrow rights, which outline what happens if either party fails to meet their contractual obligations, often involving holding funds in escrow as a safeguard. On the seller's side, there are important obligations to meet. The seller must deliver marketable title, meaning the ownership must be clear and transferable without legal issues. Required disclosures must be provided to inform the buyer of any known problems or risks. Sellers must also honor existing lease and service contract terms, ensuring continuity and respect of ongoing agreements. Before closing, they are responsible for curing any agreed-upon defects in the property, ensuring it meets the contract terms. Finally, the seller must transfer possession of the property as agreed, allowing the buyer to take control as scheduled. All of these elements work together within the framework of real estate law, balancing protections and responsibilities to ensure a smooth and fair transaction for both parties. On this slide, we're focusing on zoning and land use regulations, which are crucial for shaping how communities develop and function. Starting with residential zoning, these regulations control important factors like how densely homes can be built, the height of buildings, how far structures need to be set back from property lines, and what types of home uses are permitted. This ensures neighborhoods maintain a consistent character and livability. Moving to commercial zoning, this category regulates spaces like retail stores, office buildings, and mixed-use developments. It covers aspects such as parking availability, signage rules, and occupancy limits, all of which help create a functional environment for businesses and customers alike. Then we have industrial zoning, which restricts manufacturing and warehouse activities to specific areas. These zones often come with stricter rules because industrial operations can have significant impacts, such as noise or pollution, so keeping them contained helps protect residential and commercial zones. Together, understanding these zoning and land use categories is essential for navigating real estate law and property development effectively. They form the backbone of how land is organized and used within communities. When we talk about property rights, it's important to understand the limitations that come along with them. First, easements are a common example. These allow another party to use a portion of the land for specific purposes, like access pathways, utility lines, or shared driveways. Next, covenants are private promises linked to the property. They can either require certain actions, like maintaining a fence, or prohibit others, like restricting the type of structures you can build. Finally, restrictions are legal limits imposed by deeds, homeowner associations, or laws. These rules define how an owner can develop, use, or occupy the property, ensuring that certain standards or protections are maintained. Together, these elements shape the way property rights are exercised and managed in real estate law. Let's look at some of the most common legal disputes in real estate. First, boundary disputes often arise when neighbors contest issues like lot lines, easements, fences, or encroachments. These conflicts can significantly impact property use and value. Then we have landlord-tenant issues, which typically involve disagreements over rent, repairs, evictions, security deposits, or how lease terms are interpreted. Another frequent area of conflict is with homeowners associations, or HOAs. Owners might challenge rules, assessments, maintenance decisions, or architectural restrictions set by the HOA. Contract breaches are also a major source of disputes, usually occurring when one party misses critical deadlines, fails to provide necessary disclosures, struggles with financing, or doesn't meet performance obligations. Understanding these common legal disputes is essential for navigating real estate transactions smoothly. Before closing on a property, it's crucial to conduct thorough due diligence and inspections to ensure everything is in order. First, a property inspection helps identify any structural defects, safety issues, or deferred maintenance that could impact the value or usability of the property. Next, an environmental assessment is important to check for contamination, the presence of wetlands, hazardous materials, or any regulatory compliance concerns. A survey is also necessary to confirm the property boundaries, easements, any encroachments, and legal access to prevent future disputes. Conducting a lien search will reveal if there are any unpaid taxes, judgments, or claims against the title that might complicate ownership. Finally, an appraisal tests whether the purchase price matches the property's market value and meets lender requirements, protecting your financial interests. These steps collectively ensure a smooth and secure transaction, minimizing risks before you finalize the deal. Now let's walk through the final stages of a real estate transaction, focusing on closing and recording. The deal becomes official when three key elements line up: signatures, money, and possession. First, all the involved parties, buyer, seller, lender, and title agents, sign the necessary legal documents. This step ensures everyone's agreement is legally binding. Next, the funds are transferred. This includes the purchase price, loan amounts, taxes, and any additional fees, all processed through the closing. After the financial side is settled, possession typically transfers, meaning the buyer receives the keys and takes control of the property. Once the deal closes, recording comes into play. The executed deed is filed with the county recorder or clerk's office. This public filing is crucial because it legally protects the new owner's rights and establishes the official chain of title. Finally, public records are updated to reflect the ownership change, providing transparency and notice to all third parties. This entire process ensures the transaction is completed securely and recognized by law. When it comes to real estate litigation, there are generally three main paths to resolving disputes. First, we have negotiation. This is where the parties and their counsel attempt to work things out directly. The goal here is to avoid the additional costs and delays that come with formal legal proceedings. Typically, this results in a private settlement or some changes to the contract terms. If negotiation doesn't resolve the issue, the next step is often mediation. In mediation, a neutral third-party mediator helps both sides communicate more effectively, assess the risks involved, and find common ground. This process usually leads to a structured agreement without needing a court judgment, which can be much quicker and less adversarial. Finally, if neither negotiation nor mediation works, the case moves into litigation. This means going through formal court procedures, pleadings, discovery, motions, trial, and possibly even an appeal. Litigation often results in a binding judgment, which might include damages or injunctive relief. This pathway can be lengthy and costly, but sometimes it's necessary to resolve the dispute fully. Overall, these steps, from negotiation to mediation to litigation, offer a spectrum of options that balance efficiency, cost, and legal finality in real estate disputes. On this slide, we're focusing on some critical environmental and compliance issues that can impact real estate transactions. First, environmental assessment is key. This involves evaluating a property to identify any potential environmental risks or concerns, which can affect its value and usability. Next, wetlands protection is an important consideration. Wetlands are protected by law because of their ecological importance. So any development or use of land involving wetlands requires careful navigation of regulations to avoid violations. Contamination disclosure is another vital aspect. Sellers must disclose if the property has been exposed to hazardous substances or pollution, as this can pose legal and financial risks for buyers. Finally, Phase 1 and Phase 2 environmental reports are essential tools. Phase 1 is the preliminary assessment to identify potential contamination, while Phase 2 involves detailed investigations to confirm and quantify the extent of contamination, if any is suspected. All these elements fall under the broader umbrella of real estate law, which governs how these environmental issues must be handled to ensure compliance and protect all parties involved. Understanding these points helps in making informed, responsible decisions in real estate transactions. When we talk about landlord rights, there are several key responsibilities and powers that landlords have. First, landlords have the right to collect rent on time, which ensures they can maintain the property and meet their financial obligations. They can also screen applicants lawfully, meaning they must follow fair and legal guidelines when choosing tenants. Enforcing lease terms is another important right, allowing landlords to ensure tenants adhere to agreed-upon rules. Lastly, landlords can recover possession of the property for valid causes, such as non-payment or lease violations. On the other hand, tenants have essential rights that protect their living conditions and privacy. They are entitled to safe and habitable housing, which means the property must meet basic health and safety standards. Tenants also have the right to privacy, so landlords must provide proper notice before entering the unit. Fair housing protections prevent discrimination against tenants, ensuring equal treatment regardless of background. Additionally, there are security deposit safeguards that regulate how deposits are handled and returned. Overall, landlord-tenant law carefully balances the landlord's control of their property with protecting the rights and well-being of tenants, creating a framework that supports both parties in the rental relationship. To wrap up, the most important thing to remember is that every real estate deal relies on having a clear title, enforceable contracts, and proper recording. These elements form the foundation for a smooth transaction. Conducting thorough due diligence is essential because it uncovers potential risks early on, preventing costly disputes down the line. Additionally, zoning, land use, and environmental regulations have a significant impact on what the property can be developed into or used for. Finally, having strong legal guidance throughout every stage of ownership is crucial to protect your investment and ensure compliance with all applicable laws. These key takeaways are what make real estate transactions successful and secure.